Are you returning? Or is this the first one you came to? Greetings and welcome to Shadowstar. Allow me to apologise we are not aboard my flagship. Instead, this is the ISS Requite. My legendary Avenger. But that's not the subject of this video. Allow me to introduce you to a very special ship. The legendary BORTASQU, but not just any legendary BORTASQU. No, this is the ship of Augment Dictator Games. Good old Oggy. If there is anyone I respect and have a lot of time for, it's that gentleman. Well, that's why I couldn't miss this opportunity. Sorry, Oggy. Welcome to this Starship Stats Review, following my new style. I wonder how long I'll be saying this for. Where, well, I must apologise in advance, but this will not be a quicker video. If you want a video that will quickly cover the stats and review the ship for you, not the one. I go into detail. I will discuss this ship, what she can do, what she's capable of, break down her consoles, her traits, her capabilities. I will compare her, where necessary, to different elements. In this case, she will be compared to her past iterations. After all, a Klingon flagship should be the best around. What? Sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. Hey, there's no Klingons doing it here. I don't have my Klingon character and flagship yet, okay? So he's hiding out back. We'll discuss this ship. We will see it in action. We will take a look at customization options. And, well, we'll finalise whether or not the bundle is worth getting on the basis of this ship. And, of course, in general, because this is part of the legendary Battlecruiser bundle. Comes with some interesting elements to it, including a pretty damn good console, worth having. It comes with a promo ship. The legendary Avenger class is literally the Inquiry class, slightly improved and made account unlocked. I don't know about you, but I ain't going to complain about getting a £300 ship for 60 quid, which is how much it costs currently on sale. Yeah, worth picking up? Okay, now let's get on with the review of the BORTASQU. And let's remember, this is the flagship of the Klingon Empire, the Klingon Defense Force. Commanding this ship, you bring honor to your house. Let's see if we can live up to that. A tier 6 ship available to any faction with an impressive hull modifier of 1.5 and a shield modifier of 1.25. She has 5 forward weapons and 3 aft. 4 device slots for a battlecruiser. And, well, gets better. Although her base turn rate is 7, that's not too different from the Inquiry. Legendary Avengers even faster, by the way. The impulse modifier is 0.16. The inertia rating is 40. It has blessed power settings of plus 15 to weapons, plus 5 to shields. Okay, kind of disappointed there. She can equip dual cannons. She's a battlecruiser. Come on. As a command ship, she has command inspirational abilities. As a Klingon vessel, she has a cloak, but not just any cloak. She has the enhanced battle cloak. She comes with her very own special quad disruptor cannons, which we'll discuss them in a bit. Being a cruiser, she has the cruiser abilities of strategic maneuvering, shield frequency modulation, and weapon system efficiency. I'm dancing again at how happy I am. Good thing you guys can't see me on camera. The Starship Mastery Package. She's a battlecruiser. What do you think it's going to be? Basic Battlecruiser Mastery Package will give it physical and kinetic damage resistance, critical severity, energy damage resistance, and a boost to maximum HP. It comes with all the previous tier 6 BORTASQU's traits. So those are the traits of the Kalis, the Garkon, and the Martok. And she comes with her own trait, a trait that I really, really like. A thirst for battle. I don't just like the name, I actually mean I like the trait. But how does this compare to her counterparts? Well, dangerously well. See, here's the thing. Much like the Legendary Odyssey, they had to sort of pick one of the counterparts to level up to be the Legendary Odyssey. With the Legendary Scimitar, they did the same there. It's very obvious they did, and with most of them, they picked a specific one. What do you reckon they picked for this one? The Odyssey, they picked the Tactical. The Scimitar, they picked the Tactical. This one, they picked the Kalis. What? No. Seriously. How can I confirm this? The consoles are 4 tactical, 5 engineering, 2 science. The same as the Kalis. The other ones, well, we'll talk about that in a second. The bridge officers. Well, that's a ensign science, a lieutenant tactical, a lieutenant commander tactical with intel specialization, a lieutenant commander universal, and a commander engineering with command. What does that sound like? Wait a second. Well, kind of like them all, but also not like any of them, because none of them had the command seat with the command specialization. Now, they all had command specialization, but they were all on lieutenant commander seats that were all universal. So, interesting around, we still have the Lieutenant Commander Universal, and the Lieutenant that is now a tactical used to be Universal. Yeah. Kinda wish that stayed Universal, if you don't mind me. Would have given this ship a lot more flexibility in use. Not that I'm complaining. Not that I'm complaining. Why? Well, here's the faction parts you need to remember. We're talking about defense so far. Now, the previous iterations were almost the same defense level, 1.475. And they had shield defense of 1.1. Well, as you can see, we're 0.5 stronger in hull. Well, you can't see now, but as you was seeing, we're 0.5 stronger in hull and we're 0.15 stronger in shields. They were all 4-4 weapon layout. Now we are 5-3. Their turn rate was 6.5, now we are 7. Do you know what? That is the same improvement that we got between the Arbiter and the Inquiry. So, funny one on that one, hey? Don't worry, the Inquiry is now up at... well, that Legendary Avenger there is now up at 12. BORTASQU. If you got that, you'd be dangerous. Basically, considering this ship really does push to be a cannon build. It's trying to tell you, give it cannons. Kid you not, you'll see that in a bit. The inertia rating and impulse modifiers all have been improved. If we talk about, though, what the Kalis, the one I'm saying this ship is most like, well, its bonus powers was 10 to shields and 10 to engines. So versus the new 15 to weapons and 5 to shields. Okay, I guess I'm a bit wrong there. Now, this one looks like it dragged some of the firepower out from the Gorkon Science Battlecruiser, which was 10 and 10. It's the same areas, just we shifted 5 over to weapons, which is a good thing for the ship. Just saying. The console layout, well, Kalis and the new Legendary have the same console layout. And as far as bridge officers go, we're basically talking about... Huh. How did I miss that? I was about to say we're basically talking about the same, but we are not. They're almost all Lieutenant Tactical, apart from the Martok Tactical Battlecruiser. That one happens to be Excuse me. That one happens to be a lieutenant commander and changes the around just one of the seats. That's cool. Interesting to see. Now, overall, the biggest change that I like to see here is that the battle cruisers, the Gorkon, Kalis, and Martok, they all have just cloak. This one doesn't have just a battle cloak, it has an enhanced battle cloak. Now, that has a lot more meaning to it than some may surmise. First of all, you're firing torpedoes while cloaked. That's going to help out this ship as a kinetics build. Hi, Odyssey over there. This is a command ship. Hi, Odyssey over there. So yeah, this ship immediately off the bat is a decent kinetic build. We're just going to go out right there right now. This is a very good kinetics build. Plus, and I know some people are going to be thinking, hang on, 4 tactical, 5 engineering. You can X upgrade this ship. Not once, but twice. Remember, that's new to it. And that T6X2 upgrade is going to make the difference. It's not even a make or break thing here. It is just making the difference. This ship can easily run any kinetic builds that you can think of. And it's pretty comfortable. I say comfortable to fly. You may want to push a little bit extra into the turn rate, but, well, that depends on your piloting skills, really. While I've said that, what also benefits from turn rate is cannon. And as we're going to see in a bit, this ship is screaming to be a cannon build, which is hilarious because cannons have a narrower targeting arc than dual beams. I actually went with a dual beam build on this. I was going to do a cannon rapid fire build, but as much as I can do a cannon scatter volley, I'm not so good with cannon rapid fire. And if I'm gonna just go for build, it's gonna be energy. The only reason why I would want to do cannon rapid fire on this build versus cannon scatter volley is because of its own cannons that we'll talk about in a bit. But overall, despite the way I've treated it in this regard, that doesn't mean it's bad in cannons. It is actually really, really effective. What I did do is run a brief set of cannon scatter volley builds. One phaser, one disruptor. And I'm not going to lie, I'm impressed. It does do them relatively well, but once again, up that turn rate. Now, beam builds. Oh, come on, this is a 5-3 ship. Gotta love the beam builds with it. Especially if you want to go beam overload. Now, I transferred my Avenger build to this ship initially and tried to beam overload on it. Whoa! Did it nearly do as good? Oh, so close, yet so far. I mean, I was happy, pleasantly impressed by that factor, because I thought with the lacking turn rate in comparison, I wasn't going to get anywhere near the damage output that I got from my Avenger. Thank you for making me eat my words. Shit. Anywho, broadside is what I went with in the final build. You'll see how that turns out later, but I'm telling you now, pretty comfortable to fly, especially considering, sorry, not broadside, fire at will. I went for a fire at will forward arc, and it was comfortable, it was easy. I was quite happy. I was inclined to do a standard broadside build in this ship, despite the 5-3. But I thought to myself, well, that's what I did with my Oddie. I want to do a forward bias variant for this one. See how it turns out. Anyone want to guess if it beat it? I mean, if I really did go for it, and even utilized my new setup for energy weaponry, I could have done a near 1-to-1 comparison. this ship has more engineering slots, and I've got a funny feeling that I would overkill it a little bit, so I didn't. Still, curiosity. Now, away from DPS, and if it wasn't obvious to you guys, yes, this ship can DPS really, really well. There's another thing it does well, surprisingly so, and that was support. Because battlecruisers, they can have a weakness when it comes to support. This ship, although it's kind of there, happily it's also not. Luckily, that Universal Lieutenant Commander gives it just that little bit of an edge. You can support DPS pretty well with the ship, which I'm not going to argue against, because that's what I like to do. You can DPS support well with the ship, but normally those two do tend to go together. I mean, there's a reason why the names are so similar. They use practically the same methods. You can control bow, kind of. I wouldn't really say use this ship as a control boat, but you can kind of try it if you want a challenge. Drain obviously sits in the same area. It's actually a little bit easier to do, if I'm honest. And as for any other support, you can probably give that part a pass. So, tanking. Now, come on. We all know the Odyssey could tank, and this ship is basically the Odyssey's rival. So you'd want it to be performing as well as the Odyssey. After all, I see Klingons over there that desire a warrior's ship and doesn't want to fly an Odyssey to get the Odyssey's output. Well, you've got the firepower now, Klingons. You've also got the tank. In fact, I'd be somewhat inclined to say this ship is a better tank. Yes, I am saying that. Now, honestly, I'm not brilliant when it comes to tanking, so I could be mistaken here. But personally speaking, I do think this ship can take a lot more punishment and do a lot more threat generation than the Odyssey can. It is my personal opinion that this ship would be the better tank out of the two. So we'll see how that unfolds at the end, eh? Now, I may have forgotten to do this for the Avenger, but I'm not going to forget here. DPS on this ship, 9 out of 10. Support on this ship, 5 out of 10. Tanking on this ship, 9 out of 10. Can't complain with that. She does two roles really well. Oi, Avenger. If you could shield tank better, you'd have been rivaling this ship right now there. Okay, so yeah, I gave the Avenger a higher DPS score, but not as high in the tanking score. What do you expect, though? You can't have two ships forming exactly the same in one bundle. So, let's get on to more about this ship. First of all, we'll start off with the cannons, and, well, there's something to be said for rapid linked disruptor quad cannons. Okay, so here's my one. Can't say his name because it didn't change his name and it's definitely a Klingon. Haha, Kapla! But, as much as I push the gold aesthetic, I swear I've not been watching too much of Ahsoka. Silver and gold, it's a good combination. Let's have a look. Let's say it maybe a little bit off in mood for a second because ran some fights just a second ago. There's a lot to discuss on this ship. As you can see, I did not utilize anything of the extra that came with it. Why? Well, because let's start off with the cannons. The cannons, the rapid link disruptor quad cannons. I've upgraded them to Mark 15. I ran them. I've used them. I thought, oh, good joy. These look like they could be meta. Look how they're helping out rapid fire. So they won't be meta for scatter volley, but they'll definitely be there in the rapid fire. No. So I kind of forgot how easy it is to keep rapid fire up 100% of the time. And the result of how easy it is that let me put it this way. It's that easy that you can kind of do it without trying. And as a result, the special ability of the rapid linked disruptor quad cannons, which is defeating foes during cannon rapid fire, reduces the cannon rapid fire recharge time by 10%. Okay. And category recharge time by 25%. Right, cool. So category is firing mode. Not very often you use multiple different firing modes. The only one I can think that's going to benefit most builds is kinetic torpedoes. Hello, fucking torpedoes up there. Yes. And if we're thinking along that lines, then the next thing that comes to my mind is Oopsie. Why Oopsie? It should be obvious. That numbs it a little bit because you can do recharge and all this stuff pretty easily as well. Quite frankly, as great as it sounds, and admittedly, right at the beginning, I thought, "Ooh, these are going to be good." It turns out not so much. Enough that I'm not even going to bother re-engineering them. They're really decent disruptors, but let me play blunt. They don't beat out spiral wave disruptors. Mind you, that's pretty hard to do. And they also don't beat out quad disruptors. Well, they do, but they don't. They have equal power to quad disruptors, yes. But unfortunately, that's not good enough. Not in my opinion. Because the rapid fire part, that's... you're not going to notice it. They might as well be quad disruptors. And I don't like that. As for everything else, they're your atypical quad cannons. They utilize engine power to enhance their own damage output. Yes, they do more damage, even without the damage modifiers. They're a good idea and an interesting ad, but you're going to be more putting it on there for the sake of it. If you've already got quad disruptors, you might as well use them. I don't really think you're going to see that much of a difference. So unlike the other ones, these ones get 3 out of 10 from me. Now we enter headache territory. You may notice that I'm currently utilizing one of these consoles. Well, it's down here too. That's because that's the one I got with this ship. I've got two ways of putting this. I can either just mention to you that I've already reviewed these consoles over on the Odyssey, and maybe go check out the Odyssey. There's one way for me to get more views. Or I can point out that in this short space of time between me doing that review and these ships coming out, they have changed them. So, yeah. Let's cover them a second time. Excuse me. First of all, we'll start off with my favourite. We get it from the tactical variants of the ships. This one... okay. This one will give you a 19% boost in direct energy damage. It also has the fleet weapon acceleration. This makes this console absolutely must have for support builds. Now, when I did the Odyssey one, I just said this was a must use if you are a support player using an Odyssey. It's changed. Simply because this can now be put on any ship. This is a must-have console for any support player. So if you are the same as me, a support player, get your hands on either the tactical variant of one of these ships, so the Tactical Scimitar, the Tactical Odyssey, the Tactical BORTASQU, or get your hands on the legendaries of each of these, because this console you need in your arsenal. Actually, beam overload players, you want this console in your arsenal too. Why? Because that firing cycle haste is going to be a massive improvement for your firing cycle, for your beam overload output. Seriously, I'm not joking. This is why, hey, support players, you must get this. If you are a support DPS player, get this. This is one of the easiest consoles you can use to support DPS players out. If you're flying with a beam overload player, they're going to thank you. If you're flying with a tank, they're going to thank you. Seriously, this is one of those consoles I cannot stress this enough. Now that it is usable by any ship, this is a 10 out of 10 console. The only weakness to it is you can't multi-trigger it. So if one person triggers it, no one else can trigger it until it has delayed and ran its course. But like I'm going to say here now, it's a 33% firing cycle haste for your energy weapons for 15 seconds. It is a 50% boost to your turn rate strength for 15 seconds, a 50% boost to your flight speed for 15 seconds. And this affects all your allies. With it not being able to be used again for 60 seconds, that's fine. It goes out and you can't use it. You just need one other ally and you've got this console going up for 15 seconds every minute. Doesn't sound like a lot, but you time that incorrectly in a TFO, that is every player getting a major hit off right at the beginning, as long as you split and go to either side on, let's say, infected. You've got every player's going to get a major DPS hike there. And then when you all refocus on the enemy, time should just run out then. 60 seconds just be up and you've got the new one about to go off. That's it. All of you again. Hit hard, hit strong. Can't sell this console enough. Now, from the engineering side of things, you get adaptive emergency systems. Not quite the same, but this is still a very good console. And again, you can now use this on any ship. So tanks, you guys want to be listening heavy now. This is one for you tank players. You get plus 19 to energy damage resistance rating, plus 3.3 to maximum hull capacity. And the adaptive emergency systems will give you a damage and a damage resistance buff. This is a plus 50% to all bonus all damage resistance rating for 30 seconds and a plus 30% bonus all damage for 30 seconds. This is great. Simply great. Exactly what any tank needs to build up extra threat. When you're taking hull damage, this was one of those ones I like to call the danger tank. Letting your hull drop that little bit just to keep something like this in line. Because when your hull drops, you've got more firepower. And you just keep yourself focused on danger tank. That's the easiest way to get it. And yeah, I got that from Paper Mario. It's funny. I've seen one danger tank in the game and I thought they were impressive. This is an amazing console for your tank players. It's useful to support players. And it has its usefulness to DPS as well. So although this is nowhere near as powerful as the, well, this one, because everyone benefits. This one, it's still getting 9 out of 10 from me, now that it can be utilized on every single ship. Next up, console universal dampening wave emitter. We got this tier 6 console from the science version of our flagship ships. What does this one give you? Well, it gives you a shield capacity boost. 15% to maximum shield capacity. Okay, good for your shield tanks. The violent dampening wave from the dampening wave emitter that does just over, should I say, 1200 radiation damage every second for 12 seconds. Sorry, for 15 seconds, my English. It has a minus 80 energy damage. Sorry, to foes. Minus 80 energy damage for 15 seconds. So any foes that you got that's using energy damage to take you down, they're doing a lot less damage. And it also has a disable for 8 seconds. So although that it sounds, remember it this way: you've got a disabled ship for 8 seconds. Once the 8 seconds is up, the 15 seconds has already been running, so you will have that continuing 7 seconds where the enemy is hitting you for less. It's very good for support players, this ability, but only for support players that are trying to protect the tanks, so the tanks take a little bit less damage while also maintaining threat. Or it comes useful to your shield tanks, where you need to make sure your shields are protected, and therefore you want your enemies to be dealing less energy damage. It's a good little ability depending on how you're utilizing it and who's utilizing it. Nowhere near as good as the other ones, but I still really like it. So this one gets 7 out of 10, and that's mostly because it's been adapted so it can be used by everyone. Now, it is part of a bundle, a set. So let's get into this detail of the set. At the 2-piece, you gain the flagship modifications, which will give you a plus 2% critical chance and plus 3 to your flight turn rate. At a set level of 3, you get deadly response. Nice little thing. When receiving damage while your shield's facing is depleted. Hi, hull tanks. 10% chance to apply deadly response, stacking up to 3 times, which will give you a 10% bonus to all damage for 10 seconds, and 2,500 temporary hit points for 10 seconds. This set bonus level 3, it's useful to DPSers, but I'm telling you now, DPSers, if you are going to try and get the set bundle level 3, bearing in mind how often your shields get faggoted up, so yeah, you'll easily be utilizing the the free set piece bonus. I'm going to tell you now, you are using the full console of the set, not the science console. So fuck the science console off. You want to get a hold of the full console and set. You want to know where you get it from? Panic. Phoenix. You need to get it from the Phoenix box now if you don't already have it. The fourth set bonus will give you improved flagship console powers. So all your main flagship consoles will be strengthened. Not the fourth console, only the first 3. So adaptive emergency systems will now require minimum health to be increased from 50 to 75 to get the bonus power. The fleet weapon acceleration will now last for 20 seconds. And the violent dampening wave will have its range increased from 4 kilometers to 5 kilometers. I think I glossed over that there actually with that one. The fact that the effect increase by 50% when below half your hull. So you get a 50% benefit on the adaptive emergency systems if your hull is dropped below 50%. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, that's what I mean by this is a danger tank thing. Now, the full console is the timeline stabilizer. Timeline stabilizer. This is a console we've been able to have for a while and actually is very, very useful. Not a lot of builds utilize it, which I find disappointing, but understandably, because there are some better ways to utilize. What does this do? Well, you get a plus 15% cooldown reduction for science bridge officer abilities. And timeline stabilizer is a PB AoE 3 kilometer range to foes and to yourself. Foes get a minus speed, turn and recharge, while yourself gets a plus recharge fire rate and a plus fire rate. To yourself, between 15 and 30% fire cycle haste for all weapons, and between 2 and 4% bridge officer and captain ability recharge time reduction every second. Why? Okay, so why am I saying this is a really good console? It should be obvious right there. That is a powerful, very powerful effect that benefits depending on how many foes it's affecting. And the cooldown there, although this is something you can only trigger off every 2 minutes, the cooldown there is quite effective. So it just means that if you're not achieving global cooldown, you will be while this is active. But I'm primarily looking at the firing cycle haste and thinking to myself, that's very powerful, that's very important. That's why if you're using a 3-piece for this console set, this is the one you use instead of the science console. To your foes though, well, it will increase their recharge times for all their abilities by 50%, so you're getting those spammed at you less. Reduced impulse speed by 50% for 5 seconds, and reduced turn rate by 75% for 5 seconds. Makes them really easy to chase behind and get into the flanking position on. Lovely console, this one. Now, with that covered, we get on to the old tier 5 consoles. These are not exactly the same as you had with the Odyssey, so hey, I get to cover something new. First of all, let's discuss the Disruptor Autocannon. A devastating Disruptor Cannon attack. You know, Cryptic, what you and I call devastating is vastly different. I already laughed at you with the Avenger, but then again, I guess back in tier 5 days, you were exaggerating a lot of what you had. Actually, back in tier 5 days, the difference between tier 4 and tier 5 was actually quite substantial. So saying something was devastating when it was the tier 5 thing worked. The only problem is, once we got tier 6, we kind of had the same growth, and nowadays it's a massive growth compared to then. So what they call devastating now is pennies for us. So what they call devastating then is pennies for us now. So keep that in mind as I point out that this is just doing just over 2,000 disruptor damage 12 times with a DPS rating, and that's the bit that's bugs me on it, a DPS rating of 385. You see, that's the aspect that stopped me, because I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, so it's going to do 12 shots of disruptor damage, and they're going to do it around 2,000. So you're doing at least 24,000 disruptor damage. Yeah, okay, that's going to be good. Yeah, okay. Until you realize that per second you're only dealing just shy of 400. Okay, and it also has a minus 9.1 weapon power to self while this weapon is firing. So this is also draining your damn weapon power. To use this console, you drain weapon power. Bye! Right. That's one way of me saying no. Like, it doesn't even get a score from me. Yeah, that's a really shit console. So, let's see if Subspace Snare is any better. Teleport Foe. After teleportation, target gains immunity to teleport for 15 seconds. Cool. Teleport Foe approximately 4 kilometers in front of you. So, unlike other abilities which will teleport you to the foe, and will often teleport you so that you're behind the foe or maybe right in front of the foe. My personal favorite one puts you behind it. This one will put the foe in front of you, and then will disable its engines for 2.1 seconds. So easily in this time. You could get them in front of you and throw a tricobalt, heavy tricobalt off, and hope that you can tank the explosion because you are too close. But do you want to know another thing that will do that just as easily? Gravitational displacer. It's a console you get with one of the old Discovery Fed ships. And one of the Klingon Fed ships. Sorry, one of the Klingon Discovery ships. What am I talking about? It will do that, and it has its own benefits, like, I believe it's armor penetration as a passive. So, as much as you can bring a foe in close, that gravitational displacer lasts longer, drags all foes in, not just one, and it will have them in front of you. And they might as well be disabled because, or have their engines disabled because they aren't breaking free of it. It's too powerful of a control ability. I'm wondering if I can just grab it up now. Yes, I can. There it is. So yeah, it gives you whole penetration, tactical readiness, and for 10 seconds, that one will bring foes within 6 kilometers, will pull right in front of you, placate them for 8 seconds. To yourself, you get a boost in turn rate and flight speed. Oh, and it damages as well. Bye-bye. Oh, shocking. Really shocking. Absolute load of trash. Klingons didn't get any love back in the day, so how about the Hoshush bird of prey? It's the Aquarius. I kid you not, it's the Aquarius. It is as powerful as the Aquarius. To give you an example, I don't think I can actually... Oh no, there's the Aquarius right now. There's the Aquarius, only available on Odyssey variants, no sin. So yeah, end of the day, same ship. Have fun with that. I'll actually keep that because it's fun for a bit of play around. That's it. It's a gimmicky console. Have fun with that. But at least I keep one of them. I wouldn't use it on any build though. Unless you're having just a gimmicky build. That's literally the end of it for that one. Sorry. So let's try to move back to something positive since we went into a super neg there. Okay. Let's try looking at the legacy traits. Now, again, I discussed these recently with the Odyssey class. And in the scenario here, these are the same. So we have supercharged weapons. When firing a torpedo, grants you 1 stack of supercharged buff. The supercharged buff can stack up to 3 times. What it does there is then gives you direct energy weapons gain, plus 10% to damage for 20 seconds, plus 1.5 critical chance, and plus 6.6% for critical severity, all for 20 seconds. This is quite strong. Can triple that if you want to. Well, hopefully you're firing torpedoes enough to triple it. This is a really good trait. I'm not going to score it again. I'm just going to tell you that it's really good if you're running a build that uses energy weapons and torps and you want something that's budget grabbable. This is a trait to get your hands on. It will give you a sizable boost in power. It is a trait I do recommend using in certain builds, depending on what you're going for and how you're utilizing, because I always have a torp. This is the trait I could use. Checkmate. Exotic damage and projectile damage enhanced by control bridge officer abilities. This is great there for your EPG builds, considering a lot of standard EPGs will utilize torpedoes rather than energy weapons. This is because then you can put more auxiliary power into your EPG and take it away from your weapons. You know, like support players have Ox and weapons turned both up to max. Yeah, there's a reason why we don't do as much damage. Normally, at least. You can see I haven't been doing that here. Ha ha! Checkmate is a pretty decent ability. It is a plus 30% to auxiliary to... Sorry, plus 30% to exotic damage and projectile weapon damage for 15 seconds whenever you use a control bridge officer ability. If you're wondering what sort of abilities count for that, think about unconventional systems in your uncom procs. Okay. Now, adaptive hull plating. Max HP to self when using hull healing or command bridge officer abilities. This one was always the one that I kind of like the sound of, but it's the weakest of the lot. Useful to hull tanks only, and quite frankly, even then, I wouldn't say use it. It's only a plus 5% maximum hull hit points, stacking up to 3 times. This is only going to be very powerful if you're using a hull tank and more of the fortified hull tank than a regenerative hull tank. If you are, fortified endurance hull tank. If you are the type to have a high hull count and want to take the damage and just keep that enduring and slowly whittling down, because you've got a higher amount of hull, this is somewhat useful to you, but for everyone else, it's not. It's the weakest trait of the lot, but once again, if I'm not going to score the others, I'm not going to score this one. I'm just going to say, yeah, weakest of the lot. Can't handle against that, really, because the rest of it's great. Then we get this. Holy! Do you know what? I was telling you that this ship wants to be a cannon build, and it really wants to be a cannon rapid fire build with its cannons. First for battle. Using cannon firing modes or cloak will apply bonuses. So, upon activating a cloak and correction. Upon activating, but time only starting after deactivating, or upon activating rapid fire, cannon rapid fire or cannon scatter volley, it will apply a plus 230% to your turn rate strength and a plus 230% to your turn rate strength and flight speed strength, so it's both of them get the same amount, and a plus 40% to increased damage. Now this is a Cat 1, not a Cat 2, but the turn rate, the flight speed, and that increased damage still to me means this first for battle is a good trait. Especially considering that 15 seconds that it will last for does not start counting down if your cloak is active. So you can trigger it off, but it will physically start counting down when your cloak deactivates. This is following on some information I've grabbed from elsewhere. My testing of it looks more like you don't have it activate at all until the cloak deactivates. So I would love to hear back from some of you guys now. If you've been testing this more than I have, let me know right now. Do you believe that this is activating its procs while the cloak is active? Or if the procs only activate when the cloak deactivates? Let me know. Or is it possible to keep the procs running through cloak if you activate cannon rapid fire and then cloak? Let me know. And obviously that would be weakness for the cannon rapid fire, but I'm interested to hear. Now then, we do want to take this ship in action for me to display what it can do, because this is a very beautiful ship with a lot of potential and firepower. But I'm not done yet. Let's have a quick look at customization, and then you guys will get to see this ship in action and find out what frustrated me as well when I show you it in action. Yeah. Oh. So here she is, the BORTASQU. Now see, I don't remember it having its own hull. Funny enough. So BORTASQU remastered? Not sure when that happened, but Yeah, I'm not going to complain too much because I quite like the look of this. A little bit too light in the green. Oh, God. Well, I do quite like the look of it. See, the BORTASQU I remember is that one. That's the way I remember the BORTASQU. As for upgrades, oh, hello. Kalis, Martok, Gorkon. Oh, and if you really want to have some fun, here's the flagship, the Kronos 1 skin. And yet, once again, it is Kronos 1. Also to note, we have the BORTASQU bridge. You got the BORTAS, and the BORTASQU. I do believe this is not a new bridge versus what used to be in here, but I could be mistaken. It is a massive bridge, though. It completely dwarfs the Odyssey's bridge. Let's give it to you on that one. Quite a fan of it. You may have seen me show it off before in the past, but hey, it's a nice enough thing. To note here, you can kit bash between the nacelles, the saucer, or should I say, the hammerhead. It's a shame they don't all really link up too well. And the main hull. Now, the only problem is that whoever did this really wasn't focusing too much on getting all these pieces to onto a line up and look good together. So, a lot of the time, you're going to find yourself going, oh, I like the way that looks, but, well, I guess I'm going to have to accept one of the two heads that just about look okay on it. Oopsie days, you can tell what that went there with. And maybe I can play about with the nacelles on it. And you end up sort of settling. Because if I'm honest with you, 9 times out of 10, this ship doesn't really work well with its other components. It's a little bit of a disappointment to me. But hey, she's a beautiful ship, and she comes with the Burrell, the BORTASQU flagship, the Katinga Alpha, the Katinga Beta, one of my personal favorites, the D7 TOS D7 refit, and all previous Vulture, Rodaval. I'm not gonna lie, the Vulture looks really good on this ship. Much better green than that BORTASQU. Okay, come on, let's see this ship in action, shall we?
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be scared. my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need. What you need. We're broken, it's tragic. We're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe you could have it. And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of all that is blackness.
So, how did this fare out? Well, let's be honest with you. Right. That's not the right one. You, come here! There we go. Set you as the default for now. Right. You saw my infected run just now, and I was running with 2 other DPSs. Honestly, I thought they were a lot more powerful than that. I'm going to be honest, because basically everything was dying super quick. So my brain went, oh no, I'm with one of the people that should be flying in elite. Turns out not. Turns out there was just 3 of us. I should have figured it out when I looked at the vengeance, but hey, my stupid. But safe to say, these did really well here. Considering you're seeing this ship and how it's lined up against others. One of them was the Vengeance. That is easily one of the prime ships if you know how to build it. Can't remember what the other one was being utilized. As far as the combat log goes, well, there you go. That's how it did. And I'll show you against the Legendary Avenger. Oh, would you look at that? It's got out just a little bit better. And this one's using a fire wheel build versus a beam overload build. So have fun with that. Yeah, fire wheel is improving if you know how to use it. As far as infected goes, well, there's one run. Okay. So this was my beam overload build with my Avenger. You can see bit of an issue happened in here, but it did okay. As far as this went, well, my second run didn't do so well. You can see I'm just shy of 160k. However, my first run with it, nearly 200. Quite happy with that. And literally, you can just see the difference. Because I'm flying with different people, less DPSs, I was able to take more damage. Or deal more damage. So always remember that. The stronger the people you're flying with, the lower your own output is going to be. This is where it sticks from. Here, honestly, with our 3 builds, Frank, myself, and Pinger should have all been doing elite together. The 3 of us should have been in elite, and the other 2 should have been able to party up with someone else for advanced because it wasn't fair on them. They didn't get a chance to really get the output in there. Now, suffice to say, I'm not complaining too much at this. Considering this was a beam fire at will build that I used on a command ship, this did really well. And so, honestly, I'm happy. And I feel like this sings for just how powerful this ship is just as an energy ship. So with that being said, guys, I hope you will hear me out when I say this bundle is worth getting. The legendary Avenger is an absolutely brilliant ship. And the legendary BORTASQU, just as good. Please, bearing in mind that results may differ, this is my beam fire at will build. Honestly, I'm advising this ship in a set way. Much like with the Avenger, I'm not going to actually recommend it to support players. But I will recommend this ship to tanks. I will recommend this ship to DPSs. And honestly, guys, if you want to get a really, really good bundle that will give you a lot of potential in the mid to late game, this bundle is worth grabbing. Just for either one of the ships, but both of them, definitely. It's £60 at the moment. It costs you about £100 if you are not getting it on sale. 100, 120. Considering one of the ships values in the exchange will cost you 80 quid easily. And if you go the gambling route, that ship will could easily go up to 300 quid for it to cost you. I do seriously recommend going for these account-wide unlocks and enjoying the ships. But this is my opinion. What do you guys think of it? I would love to hear from you guys now what you think. Again, if there's information I'm missing, please let me know. Correct me on anything. If you give me some decent information, I'm going to pin it in the comments because I want people to know the right stuff. Guys, if you get the ship, what did you call it? And also, heads up, I'm doing a flagship vote soon for the Klingon and the Romulan side of my characters. So get ready to vote for that. Anyway, with that all being said, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending the time to support the channel in this way. An even bigger thank you to the individuals credited on screen because their generosity and support have been doing my health the immense amount of good. I have a lot of health issues. You guys helping me work towards this becoming full-time is unreal. I do not want to end up signed off work. I don't want to be someone who can't work. It's a fight. You guys are helping me keep on fighting. So seriously, thank you. Until next time. Yeah, my autism. May warrior's fortune favor your endeavors. Ciao for now. Come on, my ship. Onwards to glorious battle.